What's going on, you lot? I hope you're all sweet. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the one bit of advice that I would give to anyone who's using a gimbal. Now, it's pretty obvious that in every single bit of gimbal work, the main error that we usually see is the up and down axis going a little bit too far. Now, let me give you an example. Here's a gimbal. So the main issue that we're usually seeing in footage is the fact that the gimbal is literally going up and down. And the reason for that is because it is literally the only axis that the gimbal does not stabilize. Now, obviously the gimbal stabilizes the tilt axis, the roll axis, and the pan axis, but it is not stabilizing the up and down movement. Now, as human beings, we've actually got these things called arms, yeah? Like mine ain't very big, but I'm working on it. And what you can actually do is use your arm as a bit of a spring. And the idea is that no matter how far or how jaggedy and unstable you are walking, with your arm, you want to be trying to keep your gimbal in the same place no matter how your body is moving. So just to give you a little bit of a backstory around me, I went on a Steadicam course in about 2014, and during that Steadicam course, the main thing that we learned was to walk correctly. Sounds a bit weird to be saying learn to walk, but we've all been walking since we was about 2 years old, mate. But walking with a stabilizer, walking with a Steadicam is very, very different. So after doing my Steadicam course, I actually went on and done Steadicam operating on some real shoots. And as you'll probably be able to see, it's all about the walk and keeping your body stable. Now, my main issue with gimbals and the way that people are using them nowadays is the fact that people are just buying them, getting them out of the box, whipping their camera on the top, turning them on, and thinking their shots are going to be absolute sick, mate. When really, it's not necessarily the case. You do actually need to spend time practicing and learning to walk smoothly, learn the internals of all of the settings to make sure that you're getting the perfect roll-offs on each of your axes. And most of all, just learning to walk stably, to stabilize your walking. So what people really need to do is stabilize their gimbal before their gimbal stabilizes their camera. Now, this just sounds so stupid, doesn't it? But it makes complete and utter sense. The only reason that you're seeing the up and down bobbing movement in your gimbal shots is because you are allowing the gimbal to go up and down. One thing that I noticed with good gimbal operators is the fact that they've been using these Steadicams, glide cams. Is it any shock that I went for the cheaper option with Flycam? I'm so typical, aren't I? So anyone who has got a really, really good gimbal operating skill has usually used one of these before they've used an actual motorized gimbal. Now, I was using this for about 5 years before I actually went and bought a motorized gimbal. And this taught me so much about actually stabilizing the camera before you let kind of the camera and the gimbal do the stabilizing for you. Before I even used Steadicams and Flycams and glide cams, so many cams, I actually used my tripod as a Steadicam. So what I would do was raise the legs, spread them out, and then hold the tripod right at the top, and I would run or walk with the tripod. Now, this technique actually worked really, really well, and I recommend anyone starting out to maybe go along this process before they get a gimbal. Using your tripod as a stabilizer was a great way for me to learn to actually stabilize what I was holding. And then as I moved on from just using my tripod because I had no money, I then bought the glide cam. Now, when you're using the glide cam, you have to take the weight on the handle, and then you literally use the tips of your fingers to do all of the adjusting, the moving, the panning, the tilting of the glide cam. Now, going out, buying a gimbal and actually getting good shots out of a gimbal is so much easier than going out, buying a glide cam and getting decent shots out of a glide cam. For me, it took me at least a good 3 or 4 months to actually get even slightly good at using this. And I think that anyone who has gone through that process of using a glide cam will be so much better at actually using and operating a gimbal. So my main advice to anyone would be learn to walk smoothly. Learn to not let your gimbal bob up and down while you're walking. The best thing to do is probably learn the ninja walk. Now this is a walk where you kind of bend your knees a little bit and then you walk heel to toe, heel to toe. Now this really just stabilizes the way that you're walking and then allows you to focus on keeping your hand at the right height and not bobbing up and down. Think about it like this, yeah? You're in the pub with the boys and it's your round. Here we go, I've got to get 20 quid out of my pocket and go and spend it on the lads. Oh, what a nightmare. So you're at the bar, the lads are sitting out in a beer garden, the sun's coming down, everyone's feeling decent, and you've just bought a round of 4 pints, mate. Now you're thinking, hold on here, I've got to get these 4 pints out to the beer garden without dropping them all over the place, spilling them. The sun's shining down, everyone's feeling good. The last thing you want to do is lose everyone's beers, mate. If you're dropping the beers on the floor, it's going to be carnage. Whenever you see someone in a pub walking with 3 or 4 pints, they've always got a good stable walk when they're walking with the beers. You never see anyone walking with beers like this, absolutely all over the gaff and the beers flying all over the place like a water park. It's never like that, unless they've already had a couple and then it's a different story. So next time you're in a pub, mate, watch people who are walking with at least 2 beers and see how they walk. They spend a hell of a lot of effort walking with a beer, and I don't really see people walking with a lot of effort with their gimbal. So spend as much effort as you do walking with a beer as you do with a gimbal, mate. And I'm telling you, your shots are going to be a lot better. Just don't have a beer before you use the gimbal, because it probably ain't going to work too well. Anyway, people, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you got something from it. So the main bit of advice is learn to walk smoothly, mate. Completely try and eliminate the up and down bobbing movement when you're using a gimbal, and your shots will look so much more professional. Thanks for watching, people. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you lots in the next one, mate. Time to go to the pub and actually get a bit. Peace.